Well, good evening, everybody. And I think that video says a lot about what this stream's about, Paul. And I think this is, I'm going to say something that's going to, people are going to think I'm being over dramatic, but I don't think I am, Paul. I think this is akin to the assassination of JFK.
I agree, Richard.
I'm
I
going to
agree.
tell you why I say that, Paul. By the way, good evening, everybody. I didn't want to.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah.
Big, flashy intro or anything like that. I just want to spend the first half of this stream tonight focusing on what's happened in the last 48 hours. And the reason I'm saying about JFK, Paul, JFK was the president of the United States, obviously the most powerful man in the world. JFK was a very flawed man, a very inspirational man, and a very, I suppose, divisive man. But I don't think you could say that about Charlie Kirk. And I honestly believe that I think Charlie Kirk was assassinated because if J.D. Vance wins the next presidential election, I think Charlie Kirk would have been the next president after him. And he would have made an absolutely incredible president. From what I've seen of him, and I'll be honest with you, Paul, I didn't really know much about Charlie Kirk. I never really bothered watching his stuff. Or I just, it was America doing their thing, and he wasn't really on my radar. But what I've seen in the last 48 hours, when I heard the news about Charlie Kirk yesterday, I was shocked and I was angry. But now I'm actually quite sad about the whole thing because I've seen him. I've seen that little video intro that we played there, showed him a family man, a loving man. He came across as extremely gracious, the sort of man we all aspire to be. To be honest with you, Paul, I look at Charlie Kirk and think, son, you're a lot younger than me, but you could teach me a lot, and that's just been brutally honest. So, Paul, what are your thoughts?
Well, Richard, to be honest with you, I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I am someone that has followed Charlie, and the reason I followed Charlie was because I was trying to learn from this young man, 31 years of age. I was trying to learn from this young man how he was managing to reach the youth of America. And I came to the conclusion that he was just a lot cleverer than I am and that I could never do what he did. And I spoke to a friend today, a very, very good friend of mine, an American guy, lives in the States, obviously, a big conservative, big Republican, knew Charlie quite well, would regularly socialise with him. And he is devastated. It's like he's lost a brother. And I spent about half an hour on the phone talking to this guy, and he said to me, Paul, we've lost the future president of the United States. And not only have we lost we've lost the future president of the United States. Not only that, we've lost a great guy and a great family man. And I think for me, Richard, the images that I'm struggling with, obviously the actual event, the actual scene of the crime is just heart-wrenching. But we've seen that sort of stuff before. We've seen it coming out of, all sorts of places across the world. But the images of him with his children are the ones that I'm struggling with. And I'm struggling with the reaction of some, I'm not going to call them people. They're not people. I'm struggling with the reaction of certain individuals, poor excuses for human beings. Their reaction today to the loss of Charlie, not to the Republican movement, not to the American people, not to the world of politics, but to his family and to his two young children. This is a tragedy beyond belief. And I know that there are people out there right now saying that, I think one of the biggest arguments that I've seen today is that people like us, for an example, are crying into our milk about one man whilst ignoring the genocide in Gaza, as they call it. But I'm sorry, you cannot equate the two. It's comparing chalk and cheese. The comparison is just absolutely ridiculous. We're talking about an innocent man who all he wanted to do was debate. Charlie loved debating. And we have people in this country, for an example, people that regularly attend Speaker's Corner who just love to debate. They live to debate and to talk to people and try and put their side of the story whilst listening to other people's side. And I just find it unbelievable. Well, maybe I shouldn't find it unbelievable. We've seen how the left behave. We've seen what they're capable of. We've seen who they're working with and who they're prepared to get into bed with. So I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it certainly come as a shock.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've got to understand, and I don't want to focus too much on the because I did that last night. I really went at the left because I do, and I think you did a video on it as well, Paul.
Yeah.
Where we could pull up the Mehdi Hussein, whatever her name is, Omar video, which is absolutely vile and disgusting.
I don't even want to talk about him, Richard.
Stuff on the BBC. That's what I'm saying. So I think the reality is this is good versus evil, because there is no doubt in my mind, no doubt Charlie Kirk was a good man.
Yeah.
Yes, he was political. So what? Is being on the right of politics now worthy of a death sentence? Is that what these people think? And I think the reality is
they do.
That's what they do think.
They do think
that's what, because we've got 100+ years of communist history to look back on. North Korea, China, Russia, the Soviet Union, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. We've seen what communism does, and the people who think it's not right to struggle against communism, it's just as worthy to struggle against communism, which is what Charlie was doing and what the lads I saw Nick and Jack on Dan Wotton's show tonight. I think they did a great job. Tommy was great on it as well.
Yeah.
And the reality is our struggle is a very real struggle. And sometimes we hear people say it's not about right and left. It actually is. It actually really is about right and left. And it's also about right and wrong. And it's also about good and evil. And
good versus evil. Yeah.
Communism at its heart is satanic, evil. It's atheistic. And, again, this is where the whole idea of ideology, which is something Charlie Kirk, if he was sitting here, be saying exactly the same thing I'm saying. What you believe really matters. It really does. And that's a challenge to every single one of us. Charlie was a strong Christian. He was a strong believer. And as a Christian, this is the thing, Paul, where as a Christian, I can look at Charlie's death and be really sad for his family and really sad for the loss to America and really sad for the loss to the world, because I believe it's a massive loss to the world. But then again, rejoice knowing that he's in heaven, knowing for absolute certainty that man is not, he is not dead. He's more alive than any of us right now.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Richard. And, what we've got to understand here is that Charlie Kirk has given his life for his children and for our children.
Yep.
He's given his life. He's given everything.
Yep.
And this is a moment that a lot of people need to reflect upon, in the respect that everyone that puts themselves out there, everyone that does what Charlie did, puts themselves out there because they believe in what they're doing and they believe they're doing the right thing. Charlie has given his life for us, for the right side, the good side, and it must not be in vain. Now, I never met Charlie. I don't know him. I've never spoken to the guy. But I would imagine that if he had a message tonight, and obviously I can't talk for him, God rest his soul, but I would imagine that his message would be, don't let my death be in vain.
Absolutely.
Rise. Now is the time to rise, to rally. And more than anything, now is the time to unify. It's a word that I've been using ever since the day that I started talking about politics, only because I felt that I had to. I felt it was a duty. my life, my business life could have carried on for another 10, 15 years, however long the man upstairs decides that I've got left on this earth. I could have just like you, Richard, just like any of the guys, just, you know, Jeff Taylor, etc. You know, Dan, who's doing an amazing job. I think Dan is doing a tremendous job. You know, we could all sit back and we could do something nice and easy, but we're doing our best. We're doing everything we can. And the word that has been on the tip of my tongue ever since we started is unity. And what everyone on the centre right must take from Charlie's death, the biggest tribute, the biggest compliment that you could pay Charlie is to unite and do what the left have been very good at in the past, being able to stick together despite their differences. They fight for a greater cause, albeit an evil one, but they fight for a greater cause. So I think that what must come from this, in some ways, excuse me if this sounds a bit crazy, but an almost biblical moment. Charlie's death has got to change the world. And it's got to change the lives of so many people. And I know it's affected a lot of people because, you know, my phone today, viewers and friends and family, this has hit them hard. And it's hit them hard because we have sat, sorry if I'm rambling on here, Richard, you know, but...
No, I mean, that's what this is about, Paul, because I tell you what you're saying, right? If you look at the comments, I mean, I'm looking at the comments here while you're talking, and obviously I'm listening to what you're saying as well, but the comments want us to be talking about what's happened because it has affected the whole world. It's affected everybody that's patriotic, that loves the country, that's against the craziness of the globalists and the communists and the Islamists. All of us are in those crosshairs, Paul. Yeah. We're all in those crosshairs. And you know, I think what you're saying is right. So keep talking, brother. Keep, you know, because, you know,
I think we need to be there for our viewers tonight, you know, and because this is what our community is all about. This is, you know, forget all the bullshit. This is why I can't speak for anyone else, but this is why I do what I do, because I will not step back. I refuse to step back in fear from these people. I'm not afraid of the left. I'm not afraid of the Islamists. The only people that frighten me is the law, because I know what they can do to you. And I know what they're willing to do to you. But we must not shy away. We must not suddenly turn our cameras off. You know, we must use Charlie's death as something that spurs us on. And I'm sure that is what Charlie will want. And I just want to say that, having watched him for a number of years now and listened to how we used to debate people, I learned something from Charlie, and that was to always try and remain polite, not to be aggressive, not to be confrontational. I only wish that I had his vocabulary skills and his education, but what a man.
Paul, he's not. One of the interesting things about Charlie Kirk was he wasn't at university.
Exactly.
He was just.
But he was born with a gift. He was born with a gift.
Just talk, and you know, I mean, to be honest, we've all got that to a certain extent, Paul. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. But he was a lot younger than us, so his brain was a lot sharper than our brains, Paul. Let's get it right, mate. Yeah, you know. But no, absolutely.
You know, and I just think that, you know, this is almost meant to be. Does that sound crazy? This is almost, maybe I'm talking to myself and this is just getting to me, but it's almost like Charlie knew this was coming, and it was a sacrifice that he was prepared to make. I mean, I've been listening to some of his old speeches, and you know what? He knew this was a distinct possibility.
Of course.
Like we all do, in all honesty. I mean, someone said to me today, "Oh, what is it like? You know, what must it be like to get a death threat?" And I said, "You got to be kidding! I'm on about 150." Right.
Wait till they start shooting bullets at you and trying to blow you up with bombs. Then you know.
Yeah. Then you know.
Been there.
Exactly. You know. So look, at the end of the day, this must be. We must use this tragic event, this tragic incident, to galvanise us, to make us stronger, and to really understand now what the mainstream media are all about, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're abusing not only us as a people, as a nation, but they're actually abusing our mental health.
Yeah.
They are abusing our mental health. There are people at home sitting there right now listening to you and I who are feeling that they've lost the plot, that they can't take anymore.
Yeah.
And they're feeling that way because they've been listening to the BBC, they've been listening to the animals on LBC and ITV and Sky News, and they're thinking, is this a world that I even want to live in?
Yeah.
Because they're describing a wholesome dad, a Christian man, as divisive, as racist, as likening him to David Duke, the former leader of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
I mean, what the actual hell was that one all about? Well,
I've just had to delete a comment from the chat that was just bizarre and the extreme and very, I just go, man, so look, the reality is there are some twisted people out there, Paul. There are some very, very twisted people out there.
We know that. We know that. Yeah.
And when I look at this, right, I go, do you know what? I know that we're on the right side of history. I know that we're on the right side of history, and I don't have any doubt that what we're doing. And no, I'm sure Charlie Kirk would, when he got up yesterday morning, wasn't thinking that we'd be talking about his death today. And I think what that does, in a very, very deep level, no matter what's going on in your family or with your friends, it means you try and keep short accounts. My granny used to say to me when I first got married, she says, never go to bed on an argument, So you keep short accounts, and you try and as much as possible have reconciliation with anybody that you can reconcile with, because wasting time on bitterness and hatred and anger is just that. It's wasting time, and it's horrible. And then I think I'll be honest with you, Paul, and this is where I'm not gonna get overly preachy, but I think we really need to consider what life's all about. What happens after death? What is this all about? Because if we're just doing good, or trying to do good for 70 years and then we keel over and that's it, well then Charlie didn't even get 70 years. He got
31.
He got 31 years, and that's where I think a lot of people that watch my channel are people of faith, and that's where faith comes in. You go, well, do you know what? At the end of the day, Charlie is with his Savior. That's what he believed. That's where he is, right? And we can say that with absolute confidence. And that might sound strange to some people. I don't really care anymore. If I'm not going to tickle people's ears and tell them stuff that they want to hear. From the point of view of him being a Christian, he is literally in the best place that any of us could be. He's with his Savior. He's with his God, the one who created him. And I think that's a powerful hope that people can grab onto, because I know there's a lot of people very depressed about this and very upset about this. But I think it's a tragedy for the world. It's a tragedy for America. It's a tragedy for his family and all his friends and everybody that loved him. But for him personally, and again, I know a lot of people won't accept this and a lot of people won't like it, but this is what Charlie Kirk believed, that if his life did end suddenly, or whenever his life ended, that he was going to be with his Savior, going to be with his Lord. And I think that's a really important thing for people to just go away and think about, and think, can you say the same thing?
Richard, can we talk about the hypocrisy of Keir Starmer's Twitter post today?
Well, I didn't see it, Paul, so you'll have to talk about it, mate. So I don't know if we can get it up. Can we get it up somewhere? Can we find that? Let me see if I can find that. Is it on a Keir's? I think it's on Keir's account.
Yeah, I mean, basically, see if you can find it. I mean, it's been out and about doing the rounds today. I think Dan Wootton showed it earlier on. But basically, Keir Starmer sending his condolences, saying what a terrible thing it is, etc. And like Tommy and Liam.
Okay, is that what my thoughts this evening with the loved ones of Charlie Kirk? That one, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring that up. Let's get that into the stream. Let's just see.
By the way, everyone watching, we're streaming from Richard's channel this evening, so I actually can't get into the chat, as it were. It's down to Richard tonight for whatever goes on.
Right, that's a big responsibility there.
By the way, Richard, my OCD is not being helped by your.
Oh, listen, do you know what? When I get I'm going to put this tweet up. I'm going to try and fix the picture. Okay, so I'm going to get the tweet up, and I'm going to let you talk about it, and I'm going to try and fix the picture. Can everyone see that on the screen? Let's have a look. No, that's not it. Hold on. There we go. Let's see if we can get this up here. What's happening with that?
Dominic, yeah, I understand exactly how you feel.
Okay, Paul, there you go, mate. So,
I don't know if you can make that any bigger, but
thoughts. I probably can. Let's bear with me. Let's have a look. See what we can do with that.
Yeah, I want to read Liam's response as well. But look,
if you're on Twitter and you can see that,
I can't quite read that. But look, my thoughts this evening are with Charlie's loved ones, etc., etc. And then Liam and Tommy and others rightly rip into Keir Starmer. And the bottom line is, the message is, you've got to be kidding me, because if Charlie Kirk had been British, he'd have probably been in prison. And everyone on the mainstream media would have been calling him divisive, far-right, fascist. They'd have probably accused him of being a woman beater and God knows what else they could come up with, anything to try and ruin his reputation, because that is what the media does. And like I said, for years and years and years, we have been... Richard, you can remove that now, or are you doing a bit of DIY in the background there? Look, he's even taking his mic off, so I better carry on talking, haven't I? Look.
It's all right. I'm back, Paul. Don't worry. I'm back.
Yeah.
Mate.
Okay. Let's have a little look.
Did we get there?
Get rid of the message, mate. There you go. Oh, that's better. It's a bit low on the left.
It's held together with blue tack. Well, it's not blue tack anymore. Cheap blue
Richard,
tack. Not even blue
if
tack.
That picture falls off the wall before the end of this show,
it's going to hit me on the head, isn't it? It's going to crown me. I'll end up in casualty.
Going back to what I was saying, look, the bottom line is the hypocrisy of these people.
Yeah.
Personally, I would rather Keir Starmer said nothing. If he'd have said nothing, I think that would have been the right thing to do, because I'd rather him say nothing than be hypocritical.
Yeah.
Now, we know full well there'll be people on Labour's front bench that were whooping with delight yesterday.
Yep.
Let's have it right. They will have been fist pumping.
Yep.
And the hypocrisy of Starmer's message just makes the nation feel sick. We've had enough of being gaslit.
Yeah.
We've had enough of being lied to. We've had enough of being taken for fools. We're not 5-year-olds to be patted on the head every now and again and told we're either good or naughty boys and girls.
Did you read the message out, Paul? Did you read it? Did you read it to
it is very small on my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can.
And I'm going to say something here, Paul, right? That message was not for the British people.
That
message was for President Donald Trump.
Of course it was.
Because he is so terrified.
No, Richard, you're wrong. It wasn't for Donald Trump. It was for him.
For Keir.
It was for Keir Starmer. He was doing it for himself. He was doing it to try and impress or to try and win some brownie points with Donald Trump, but he was doing it for himself.
That's what I mean. But that's what he was doing it to ingratiate himself with Donald Trump. My thoughts this evening are with the loved ones of Charlie Kirk. It is heartbreaking that a young family has been robbed of a father and a husband. We must all be free to debate openly and freely without fear. I mean, if this wasn't so serious, you would be actually rolling about on the floor laughing.
Does that include Peter Lynch?
Well, exactly. Does that include Lucy? Does that include Tommy? Does that include the lads in Northern Ireland who are getting picked up off the streets every day by the PSNI, who are cracking down on people for saying things, for saying hurty words to people from a certain demographic?
Does that include a guy that was arrested for calling someone a muppet?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is where we're at, Richard.
Exactly.
The hypocrisy of a man who is supposed to be the leader. How can you respect a man that purports to be the leader of a nation?
Yeah.
that cannot put 2 and 2 together and make it sound anything like 4.
And then he says there can be no justification for political violence. Let me just remind everybody of Sir Keir Starmer and the Ginger Growler down on one knee when BLM was smashing the crap out of police officers, swinging off the flags on the cenotaph, and basically causing absolute mayhem for something that didn't even happen in the UK. Let's just remind everybody about that. And then Liam comes in with this. Did you read Liam's comment, Paul?
I did, yeah.
Did you read?
I didn't read it out. Read it out for us, Richard.
Yeah. No one cares about your thoughts, Keir. Charlie stood for everything you don't, and if he lived in Britain, you'd have made sure he was in Belmarsh. You've allowed the left to attack British patriots at will, and it'll be you held responsible if we have a copycat assassination here. Do better. You know,
Spawn.
And then Tommy
comes in a little bit less diplomatic.
In Tommy's style, are you effing real? You'd have had him locked up for speaking the truth, you coward.
Look, Richard, I released a video earlier today. You know, who really killed Charlie, and at the end of the day, look, the media have been giving the go-ahead, the green light to the left to attack us, to be violent. I mean, this Nazi scum off our streets, John, that's been going on for far too long. And they're banners that say, smash the far right by whatever means necessary.
The problem is, Paul, people do not understand the ideology of these people. I mean, this is a great one. I'm going to read this one. We could spend the rest of the night reading the tweet, the responses to our dear leader's tweet. Connor Tomlinson, you put a target on the back of every person you label far right. You're playing the same deadly game as the Democrats in the US. Charlie thought you were a contemptible tyrant. So spare us the pretense that you care about one of your political enemies being killed. I mean, that is so true. In a way, you'd rather have these scumbags that are basically attacking the memory of Charlie, because at least they're being honest. Whereas Starmer is so disingenuous and so dishonest. And let's not forget that his ilk, I'm not saying him, but the John McDonnells, the Jeremy Corbyns, and listen, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's just Starmer has a slightly better suit, but John McDonnell and Jez Boller were wing-dinging it with the IRA in the 80s when the IRA was still killing British soldiers. Let's just think about that, right? And the same vile ideology inspired Republican paramilitaries in Northern Ireland to assassinate Robert Bradford, who was a minister, a Free Methodist in the denomination I used to be in, a Free Methodist minister and an MP. Ray Smallwood, who was a loyalist politician who was extremely gifted and extremely intelligent. Ian Gow was murdered by the IRA. Airey Neve was murdered by the IRA. Lord Mountbatten was murdered by the IRA. So let's not forget that left-wing terrorism is nothing new to us. It's nothing new to us. It's new to the Americans, but we've had it for years, and we put up with it from 1968 onwards. And this is the vile hypocrisy of the blob and of the deep state. They pretend that they're all caring and all loving. There's nothing as I'm trying to think of a word for it. Is it uncompassionate? I'm trying to think of a word for uncompassionate. But there's nothing as uncompassionate as people who pretend to be all loving and all kind, and really they're just virtue signaling, and they don't give two damns for the people who are suffering and the people who are really having it hard. So I think I'm going to play Donald Trump, Paul, if you don't mind. I'll put Donald's video up here now.
So many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
So, again, Donald Trump being a statesman, being a leader, and not going overboard, not calling for retribution. Not, if you think about what Starmer did after the riots, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, I'm laughing because it's ironic. When the riots happened, Starmer didn't miss a heartbeat to condemn his political enemies and to blame it on what he called the far right, which in Starmer's book is anyone from Boris Johnson onwards. And we all know Boris Johnson is about as right-wing as Mao Zedong. So, this is what we're dealing with, the absolute hypocrisy. And then you have the commentators saying, oh, well, Trump's saying this is left-wing terrorism. And well, that's because it is left-wing terrorism. Yeah. Whereas actually the riots weren't far right. They weren't orchestrated. It was just people that were really hacked off about some scumbag who was from an immigrant family running into a dance class and butchering little kids. And if we haven't got a right to be angry about that, when can we get angry?
You know what, Rich? I was having a bit of lunch with some Brits earlier on, and they're on holiday. They're out here in Benidorm, and they're on holiday. And we're sitting over there, having a bit of lunch, and they're miserable.
Yeah.
They're miserable.
Yeah.
They're not smiling, they're not happy.
Yeah.
All they want to talk about is how bad things are back at home. And the Southport thing, Rich, is that people are just sick to death of not being listened to. How many governments did we vote in and give them the mandate to stop the boats, to stop mass illegal and legal migration into the country? And they not only did they not do what they promised to do, they did precisely the opposite.
Absolutely.
And the British people from Scotland, from Northern Ireland to Wales to England, together we are united in saying enough is enough. We are sick of this. And Richard, I am sick of trying to convince people that the only way out of this is to comply their way out of this and to vote their way out of this. And people are giving up on that hope. And that is a very, very, very dangerous thing.
Well, I mean, the reality is, a lot of people don't know what we know, Paul. And I'm talking about Advance UK. Let's change the tack slightly. So, I think if Charlie Kirk were, and again, it's always people say this and it's a bit trite and silly, but I think if Charlie Kirk was sitting here, he'd be saying, lads, do you know what? How are we going to fix this? Enough of all the navel gazing, enough of being sorry about what's happened to me. I'm in heaven. How are we going to fix this? And I think that's what we've got to talk about now, because we've got to give people hope, right? And I think there is great hope. And again, my wife said to me the other day, she said, you're like a broken record. You just say the same things over and over again. I says, well, there's a reason for that, because they're true. And we've got to keep saying the same things over and over again, because we've got to give people real, genuine avenues to actually win this and win it well without there being an absolute bloodbath in Western civilization. Look at what's happening in France at the minute. Yeah. France is on fire. There will be genuine refugees coming from France soon.
Yeah, and there'll be French.
And then we'll really know about it,
Then we've really got a problem. There'll be French.
My goodness, I was going to say, my goodness, Abdul and Asif are bad enough from the Hindu Kush, but wait till you get Pierre and Henri. I mean, it's going to be all over. Do you know what I mean?
We'll have to have men on the beaches with bows and arrows.
Absolutely. Look what happened last time they came. 1066, for goodness sake. So
listen, Richard, there is a serious point to what you're saying. Obviously, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say advance, etc. But do you know what I'm going to say tonight? The people out there watching this, they already know. The people out there watching this, if they are still staying with reform. They think that's their best chance. That's fine. Is this not? When is enough enough? When are you not going to understand? When are you going to realise that your so-called leader last night, again, I said it in a video earlier on, he gave a lovely epitaph to, is that the right term, epitaph? He gave a lovely speech about Charlie Kirk. Very nice, you know, and I'm not knocking Nigel for that. It was polite and heartwarming. But we have our own version right here, right now. We've had our own version of Charlie Kirk since about, what, 2010, 2012, whenever
He wasn't
it was.
like Charlie Kirk then, maybe.
Well, maybe not, but at the end of the day,
He is now. He is now.
We've got our own version.
There's been.
And what does he do with him?
Yeah.
Now he throws him under a bus.
Yeah.
Now here's the bottom line. Imagine, God forbid, imagine that was our Tommy.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Just imagine.
Well, I mean, you know.
Well, look, here's the thing, Richard. What would have been the reaction from the media?
Oh,
you know damn well what the reaction would be. He asked for it. He had it coming, blah, blah, blah. He was divisive. He was a racist. He was a convicted criminal. All the rest of the bullshit that goes with it. When in truth, all he is another decent family man who is a truth teller.
I'm going to cut across you, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of this in the comments, right? Democracy is dead. You guys know what's coming. No, I'm sorry, George. Democracy's not dead. And I keep saying it, right? And I'm getting very annoyed with this now, right? I keep saying it over and over again. Anyone that lived in Northern Ireland, I don't know where George is from, if you're from Northern Ireland or not, but anyone that lived in Northern Ireland during the Troubles came as close as you can come to being in a civil war without being in a civil war. So the implication from this comment is the only way to solve this is violence. No, that's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve it.
Richard, I don't think George is saying that. I'm going to stick up for George.
Well, okay, maybe so. I'm not picking on George. I'm highlighting that comment because that's what I'm reading.
No, I know what you're saying.
But here's the thing,
I agree. But Jules does have a point, Richard. He does have a point. In fact,
Paul, I tell you what,
George's message is saying.
Look, let's just pack up. Let's absolutely pack up. Let's go home. Let's forget about Advance UK. Let's forget about the pledge. Let's forget about all the work we've done. Let's forget about this peaceful event that we're going to do tomorrow. And let's just get the guns out.
No, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that.
Exactly, Paul. That's the whole point, right?
Nobody wants to do that. And I think George's point is that is the way that people are now feeling.
Yes,
and this is what we now have to try and deal with. We have to stop them from feeling that way.
This is what I'm saying, and that's why I will keep repeating what I say over and over again, that we have a plan, right? We're dedicated to the plan. Now, if in 2029 the plan hasn't worked, then I'm going to be looking and going, okay, I'll be too old to do any fighting, but I'm going to be looking and going, okay, this plan didn't work. We've got a problem. What do we do next? Right. But for now, what I want to do, Paul, and this is really important, right? Everybody, you're on the College of Advance. So you've got to be 100% on this. Everybody, I mean, everybody, the only way we can unify politically is behind one party. That's the only way it's going to work. And we live, thankfully, and I'm glad we live in a first past the post system, because if we lived in proportional representation, you'd end up with the problems that Geert Wilders has got in Holland, where he has to get such a massive majority to kick all those liberals out that end up in his government. So, and proportional representation, go and ask the Scottish, the Irish, and the Welsh how that ends up. Doesn't end well. So we live in a first past the post situation. And this is our last. Now, George will be right in 2029 if we don't get our fingers up from our backside and actually get heavily involved in the political process in this country, from Northern Ireland to Scotland to Wales to London to all over the place, right? So if you think democracy's dead, go and do what you're going to do. I'm not going to take any part in it because I know democracy's not dead.
I really don't think that's what George was suggesting. Okay, I really don't.
Well, maybe he can come back on and clarify, because again, I'm not having a go at George. What I'm
saying, you know what, Richard, I think democracy is dead.
Well,
right now, I feel democracy is dead.
Paul, what's the point in being involved in a political party then? You might as well just sit on the beach in Spain
We
and
have
forget about
no,
doing
no,
it.
no. We have to fight to get democracy back. But
Well-
I don't feel right now. This is what Richard. I'm fighting to get democracy back. Right now, I don't feel that we have a democratic society.
If democracy's dead, Paul, right? No, let's get it right. Let's be completely honest about why the Labour Party got such a big majority. The Conservatives have made a complete hash of everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Reform were not ready for that election. Nigel came in, he saw our big demo that we had in Parliament Square, thought, oh, the people are ready. Jumped in, got 4 seats. Let's be honest, that was pathetic. That was a pathetic result for Reform. We thought, some of us thought there was going to be, 20, 30. Some people thought we were going to get 100 seats, right? So the reason that we're stuck with this disgusting, vile communist government is because the Tories were rubbish and Reform didn't have a plan. And they didn't have and this is where advance is so important. And this is where I am going to say, democracy is not dead, but it's on a life support machine.
Yeah.
And if we don't all get behind it for 2029, we might as well just pull the plug out.
I agree with that, Richard. I agree with that. I'm reflecting the thoughts and how the viewers feel. People do feel that they've lost democracy. Can I just pick up on a couple of comments here? Angelina Herrica, because this is a good comment. She says, today I had a friend.
I'll get it on the screen. Where is it?
10:32 it was posted out, my time, so 9:32 your time.
Okay, 9:32. Okay. Go back. Just read it out there, Paul. I'll look for it.
Angelina says, today I had a friend of 39 years end our relationship or our friendship because she didn't like me putting up a rest in peace Charlie Kirk on my Facebook page. Well, I can go one better than that. I've had 2 people today contact me who put similar views of condolence on their social media. One was contacted by a Muslim friend of his who told him that, or who asked him whose side he was on, and that he better make his mind up soon in a quite a threatening manner.
Wow.
And another person had a message from a friend who told them, as Angelina's there, is that they could no longer be friends after 20 odd years of friendship, all because these people had dared to have the audacity to send condolences and heartfelt prayers and thoughts to the family of Charlie Kirk. Well, my answer to all of those people is you haven't lost a friend, you've dodged a bullet. Pardon the pun, it's a terrible pun, but
exactly.
You've dodged a bullet because these people were never your friends.
No. And this is the point. And again, when you think about what that Muslim guy was saying to your mate, what he's saying is,
it was a threat.
Between the lines there.
It was a threat.
Well, he's saying we're ready for it. We're up for it. Yeah. And this is where got to be careful what I say. But the reality is our country is massively unprepared for any disastrous confrontation. And where was this? What was this woman's name again, Paul? Come on, I just want to put it on the
Angelina.
Angelina.
And that guy that I'm talking about, who had that message from his Muslim friend, they've been friends for many, many years. They've been on holiday together. Their families are quite close. Their children, I believe their children go to school together. And this was a thinly veiled threat. Make your mind up. You better make your mind up whose side you're on.
Yeah. Well, and that, I was talking to someone, I can't remember whether I was on a podcast with someone or was I talking to someone, and someone said they basically, they did a job where they had to go into people's houses, right, in a certain part of the country. I'm not going to say any more than that. And there's a lot of Muslims live in that part of the country where they're doing this job. And this wasn't a bigoted, Islamophobe, if there is such a thing. This was just a normal tradesman. Said he was terrified because he was going into houses, and he says he doesn't even speak to the people. He just goes in and does his work, right? He was going into houses and he was doing his work. And as he's gone about the house doing his work, he was finding machetes, baseball bats, crossbows, swords, and it's a certain demographic that he's working with, and that's what he's finding in their houses, and that's the stuff they're just leaving lying about. So they're getting ready, and that's these are massive stakes here, right? And that's why, again, I apologize to anyone, because my wife always says to me, she says, "You're too shouty, you get too aggressive," and all the rest of it. I apologize to anyone if I come across like that, but I am so passionate about this because I know time is very, very short if we're going to try and save our beautiful country and save the future for our children. I don't want my kids to have to move to another country. Well, my son already has, but I don't want that, my kids and my grandkids and my daughter to have to, move to another country. I want people to be able to stay in the UK, prosper in the UK, and build themselves a future. And it's a big job. And the only way that we can do it is through political means. Because if you're not using politics, you can only use violence to get power. It's the only two options there is. There's nothing else.
Well, the left are now doing that. They're using violence.
The left and the Islamists have been doing it for years. Yeah. And that's what we're up against.
Their intimidation tactics, violence from the street protesters and the street demonstrators, and intimidation tactics from those in power.
I don't know if you saw the footage last week, Paul, of a crowd from Tower Hamlets going down to wherever the Britannia Hotel to stand in solidarity with the migrants. Do you see it? It was basically it was the five.
I did see it. I did.
It was the Five Pillars
yeah.
mob. So if anyone doesn't know who Five Pillars are, it's basically Dilly.
I did see it.
I don't know, Dilly Dally, whatever his name is. I'm not sure of his surname, but it's an Islamist group, and they got a little firm together.
Is it Ali Dawa?
He's involved in it. But it's Dilly. Is it Dilly? I think it's Dilly Hussein is the guy that does it. Somebody. Well, I'm not going to say what people were saying about it, but anyway, Silly Dilly was apparently it was him that inspired the thing, and they went down there. They went down there with a little firm, and it could have got very nasty, Paul. It could have got very, very nasty, and this is why we've got to put every sinew of every fiber of our being into getting advance working, right? But also I keep going back to it like a broken record. We've got to get people signing the pledge, because as good as advance is, it's made up of men who are flawed. And what we said when we set up the pledge was we're going to hold politics to account. So just because we're all behind advance and we think advance is great, I would be wanting every single person standing as a candidate in advance to sign the pledge. And if they don't, I'll call them out on the pledge website. Simple as, because that's what we agreed when we set the thing up. So the stakes are extremely high, Paul. And, so what have we got? We've got Uniting the Kingdom, right? Which is building, hopefully, a massive peaceful street movement. And we know that there's going to be all sorts of agent provocateurs there, but we also know that the important people, the football lads, are totally on board. They're going to be completely peaceful. We've been speaking to them. Tommy's been speaking to them in chat groups. I've been speaking to lads that are senior in the football lads. They're going to be completely peaceful. They're not going to be causing any hassle. We've got tens of thousands of normal, everyday, good, salt of the earth people. Plumbers, nurses. School teachers, retired people, ex-policemen, ex-soldiers, the backbone of this country are going to be coming on the 13th of September. And that, if we pull that off, which I'm sure we will, and go away with a peaceful event on Saturday, and everything goes to plan, it's going to change things even more, because a lot of those people will come into advance. They will sign the pledge. They will, do all the stuff that we're suggesting people to make this work.
I hope everyone realises how important their behaviour is on Saturday.
Oh, that goes without saying. And I've said, Paul, if anybody comes to that event and deliberately causes trouble or violence, they're a traitor to the United Kingdom. It's as simple as that. They are traitors, because that's not fighting for our country. That's fighting against the interests of our country. Anybody that's getting involved in violence now is fighting against the interests of the United Kingdom. Simple as that. Yeah. Because it straight away delegitimizes what we're doing, right? So there's no place for anybody coming there causing. If you're causing problems, I would put you down as a lefty or an infiltrator or just an absolute lunatic. So if you
Richard, you got a few super chats here.
Yeah,
Do you want to read them out, mate?
Going to go through them. Yeah, going to go through them, Paul. But so I think it's really important, though, Paul, just to keep hammering home on this with
absolutely.
the politics side of it. And again, so there's the pledge, there's uniting the kingdom, there's Advance UK, and again the spiritual thing I think is very important as well. So there's all those things. A lot of these I'm gonna go through all of these from the beginning. Laurie N's become a member. That's absolutely, I'm not sure it's mine or yours, Paul, but it's become a member of something, which is great, Laurie. And Bess, again, thanks for this super. Let's just put it on the screen here. It's good versus evil. Why would you want to celebrate the taking of a life? I guess the answer is the question. Left is evil. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Thanks for that, Bess. And again, thanks for all the great work you're doing on the modding side of it. Epic 2000, £50. Thanks very much for that. God bless Great Britain and the movement to save the West. We are facing our biggest fight since 1939. We will win, but we all need to put everything we can into this. And that's what I'm saying, Paul. If we say democracy's dead, well, then if something's dead, it can't be, unless there's a miracle, it can't be brought back to life. So we need to be making sure that we get deeply involved in the political process. That's the only reason and I wasn't having a pop at George, by the way. It was the comment I was disputing. Okay. But this guy's right. We need to put everything we can into this. That is 100%. Paul, you're muted there, mate. You're muted.
I agree with that, Richard. I agree with that. I think, without going over old ground, I just feel that a lot of people feel they're so despondent, they feel democracy is dead.
Do you know what?
Of course, we must revive it.
Paul, they need to get their heads up. They need to stiffen their backbones, and they need to look up, and they need to go, no, we can win this. Because if I didn't think that we could win this, I wouldn't be here. I literally wouldn't be.
No, I get that.
I'd be making money and actually, having a decent life instead of having pretty destroyed everything that I do. You know what I mean? But okay. If debate ends in this way, then what's next? Bulletproof vests for guests on question time. Bang on, Laurie. This is the point. So when people, we used to have people talking about civil war in the comments and all that sort of thing, and I've got to go, no. If it came to a conflict, right? If there was a conflict in the United Kingdom, I think you would come back from Spain and fight, Paul, because you're not you know what to do. I would certainly stand and fight for my country, as long as I'm fit and able-bodied enough to do it. And but the point is, there's probably only 5% of people in this country that can actually fire a firearm. Do you know what I mean? I suppose they'll all learn right and quick, but the reality is that the path we're on hopefully prevents that happening, Paul. And that's why it's so important to really, really push
it's
this.
It's vile, because that's the last thing that we want.
Exactly.
Evening, Renee.
Yep, thanks for that, Rennie. That's very kind. Thank you very much. If we don't carry on with fight for our freedom, Charlie's death would have been in vain. Absolutely. God will take care of him now. He was the patriot. We all strive to be. All stay safe on Saturday. Yeah. Jackie, that is bang on.
Great message, yeah.
Bang on. Because the truth of the matter is, that's exactly what Charlie would want. And it's like I said when I started the show, Paul. I mean, at the end of the day, we even though he's a lot younger than us, we could learn a thing or two from Charlie without a shadow of doubt.
And I did.
Yeah.
I'm honoured to say that I did learn things from Charlie.
Yep.
God rest his soul. And
we still can.
Yeah, we still can, because he's there. Like I'm always saying, Richard, you can die once or twice. You can die the last time you take a breath, or you can die the last time someone mentions your name. And in that respect, Charlie Kirk will never die.
That's right. Absolutely. I believe that he'll never die anyway. But Jack, thanks for that, mate. That's very much appreciated. There are so many unhinged nut jobs on the left. Epic 2000, absolutely 100% correct. David, good to see you again. Trump and Musk, the UK too fat was on their heads. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. That's pretty much. I mean, if you think about what our deputy prime minister said about Trump, think about what they've all said about Musk. and Musk has been targeted. The thing is, Musk can afford some pretty serious bodyguards, so he's going to have some Delta Force and SAS guys around him, no doubt. But
Richard, I've just sent you a video. I don't know if you're able to get it up, but this happened in
can't
my.
because I can't get stuff from my phone.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Is it? What's it on? Is it on YouTube or something? Or?
It's on Instagram. It was pink-haired nut jobs in Brighton removing Union Jacks. Good job I don't live in.
What's it on
Instagram? Yeah,
I don't.
Sussex News on Instagram.
Yeah.
A bunch of student university types with pink hair, bad breath, and hairy armpits, removing our Union Jack from lampposts in Brighton. Absolute filth, vile people.
Well, Fight Now, we're already invaded again. We've dealt with that one, Stevie. Obviously we're looking to do this politically, right? Because this is, because the other option than doing it politically is too horrific to look at. Now, if it happens, we'll not be found wanting, but we're not going to go looking for it. I
said, Richard, I don't know, did you see I don't know if you even seen it, but I made a video the other day saying that, God forbid, and I don't even like using the term civil war and civil conflict, because I think the more you talk about it,
becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I had to make a video the other day and say that everyone that appears to want this, they're making a big mistake. And I'll tell you why they're making a big mistake, because I said during that video, which actually didn't go down too well with a lot of people, and I understand why, and it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but the British people are not prepared for this. The British people are not. They don't know what they're dealing with. They are dealing with people who, when they were born, their mum and dad gave them a 50p, or their family will give them a 50 pence piece or a £5 note in their hand. These people are giving them a machete.
Yeah.
These radicals, these fundamentalists, these lunatics that want to take over Europe and the rest of the world, they are a different breed. They don't play by the same rule books as we do. So they have to understand that this isn't people say, oh, we've got the numbers. Have we really? Well, let's see which community could gather 50,000 fighting age men the fastest.
Yeah, exactly, Paul. Exactly right. And that doesn't that doesn't mean if it comes on top, you don't just roll over to that. But here's the thing. You don't go looking for it. Because
absolutely,
the truth of the matter
that's what I'm saying, Richard. They don't want to go looking for it.
When I responded to that video, Paul, because there was something on the sort of the religious side of things that I commented on, but on the actual the fact that, and it is a fact, what you said, I believe is factually correct, because unless something's happened that I've completely missed, we're not organized. I don't see any of our men, going to martial arts classes, going down the shooting range, doing paint. And this might sound stupid. I have friends that were doing special work in Ukraine, right? Two of my friends were out there doing specialists. One of them's still out there. And basically, they told me that the guys who were surviving in those gun battles in the trenches were guys that had done paintball and airsoft. Isn't that amazing?
Mm.
Because they were used to the reaction time. It's like if you do sparring, if you're doing martial arts and you do sparring and you get into a fight in the street, you've got a good chance of winning that fight, because you know your distances, you know what you're doing, you know how to hit someone, and you know how to put someone down. And it's exactly the same with things like airsoft or paintball. People have got the distances and all that sort of thing. But the point was that, the lads in Ukraine that didn't have any military experience were literally just cannon fodder. And when somebody came around the corner with an AK-47, they didn't know what to do, and they got shot. So, and this is what people have got to realize about war. Anybody that thinks a civil war is going to solve our problems, they are absolute glue bags.
It's not Call of Duty.
It's not Call of Duty. It's you're living in a delusion. And look at Charlie Kirk. One bullet, bang, gone. He's gone. And that's happening in Ukraine every single day. It's been happening in the Middle East every single day. Precious souls are just getting snuffed out, and I don't want that for my country, Paul. And like I say, if it happened, you would have to fight. You would have to fight for your country. But we need to try and find a way. And even if there is a conflict, the other thing is, Paul, and I'm not sure whether you said it in your video, I think you did actually, but if we got into a conflict of that sort, whose side would Starmer's government be on? They wouldn't be on our side. Let's just get it right. Now, maybe some police officers and soldiers who had a conscience would come across, but the Second World War and communism tells us that the reality is when there's a wage and there's a comfortable house and a comfortable living to have by bowing down to the government, the vast majority of people bow down to the government. Yeah. So that's, again, it brings us full circle. We've got to look at this political route.
This is what we're supposed to have a bloody king for. Epic 2000, I couldn't agree more. I said precisely the same words earlier on.
Yeah. Yeah. The left have disrespected the young men and women who gave their lives for our country in the world wars. This upsets me no end. 100% correct. Thank you, Paul and Richard. Really needed this tonight. Been struggling. Sorry, I'll get this on the screen. Cyberstorm, thanks very much for that. Thank you, Paul and Richard. Really need this tonight. Been struggling. Charlie stood up for common sense and our country. Saturday's going to have to be massive. Saturday is going to be massive. And I'll talk about that at the end because, again, it's good to finish on good news and when things are going really, really well. Would you run as Advance UK GB in Northern Ireland? If people ask me, I may do. The problem is maybe I'm a bit too controversial and a bit, I make Donald Trump look like a moderate. But I mean, I would certainly consider it for sure. Would certainly consider it. Northern, as we all know, Martin, Northern Ireland politics is
Slightly
completely
different.
messed up, and it needs something like Advance to come and shake the whole thing up. Because I believe if Advance positions itself in the right position in Northern Ireland, we could get a lot of Roman Catholics supporting Advance UK. As long as we don't go down a sectarian route, as long as we don't do the Protestant Catholic thing, if we're making good, positive arguments for the Union, good, positive arguments for the United Kingdom, and the Good Friday Agreement did away with sectarianism and all that with all the equality legislation. So the sectarianism is never going to come back. So there's no reason why, if Britain and the UK, if the UK is a prosperous country, why would nationalists not go, hold on a minute, this is a party that I can vote for? Because we're not going to drape ourselves in an orange sash. And that's not an attack on the Orange Order, by the way, but we've got to try and reach out to.
There's a bigger picture here, Richard. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
there's a bigger picture.
Much bigger picture. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay. Well done, Richard. Yvonne Flanger, thanks for that, Yvonne. Well done, Richard. Carry Charlie with you on Saturday. Walk tall, all you good people. 100%. And I think we're going to get, this is one thing I am going to say, and I'll say it now before we go on to the 13th. I think if you weren't going to go, because for whatever reason, after what's happened with Charlie, I think it makes it imperative to go. I mean, I wasn't going to go. I didn't want to go. I still don't want to go, not because I'm worried about violence or anything like that. I've got very real personal reasons not to want to go, but I feel compelled. That's the way I feel, and I feel I have no option but to go. But that's because I'm so invested in it. But I mean, the reality is, I think if you can go, yeah. Whatever, I think it's going to be a great day. But whatever happens on the day, we'll deal with it because that's what we do. So,
I'm sure everything will be fine.
Oh, it will be. It will be. David Lund, £2. What about the kid in Oxford Uni? He wants get out. Is that the guy that was attacking? Is that the fellow that was attacking Charlie after he died? The guy with the dreadlocks?
Yeah, I saw that earlier on. He's now, is it the president of some, I don't
know.
He's
the president of the Oxford Union, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Vile again. I mean, the bottom line is this, Richard. Where's their respect? Where's their humanity?
It's horrendous. It's absolutely
horrendous.
I mean,
there's outside of, your Ian Huntleys, etc. There's not many people who I would celebrate their death.
Yeah. Martin, just a point on that. There's this thing going on. So again, I'm not saying I've got an inside line on this, but there are things going on, so it's going to be positive. There is going to be a positive result for Northern Ireland It just needs a few little bits and pieces to come into.
There is so
into
much,
alignment.
so many exciting things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So many things.
We all need to work to promote Advance UK and help Ben. 100%, Robert. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are Christians. Absolutely, Gavin. Michelle Williams, leave them alone and they will return home. Yes, that's right. And without education, everything will collapse. My daughter said it's in the Bible again. I'm just seeing some of these, and I'm not getting the full story with them.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think people should panic, but I think it makes sense to get a few extra toilet rolls and tins in. That's never a bad idea, Helen. You know, but if you get too many tins in, you probably need quite a lot of toilet. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. But
oh, by the way, I got told off when my wife got home last night, and I got told off.
What did you get told off for, Paul?
Well, it took me. She's been away for a week back in the UK, and I couldn't work the dishwasher. And I eventually found out that there's a button that says start that I have to press.
Come on, Paul. You need to do better, mate. You need to do better. You know
I'm hopeless, mate. And then she told me off for putting for running a full cycle with 2 cups in it.
Yep. Mons, it's a 1,000-mile round trip on a motorcycle for me if I go. Do you know what? I'm probably similar, but I get on an aeroplane, so it means that it doesn't take as long. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of people sacrificing a lot. There's a mate of mine who's, he's not fantastically well off. He's a veteran. He's a great lad. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's coming all the way from Edinburgh on a bus. He's getting there really early doors on. He's coming on an overnight bus. Getting there very, very early on the Saturday morning, and I think he's going back the same night. So there's a lot of people putting a lot of effort into getting there. So, okay, not my kink. No, I agree. Do you know what? I agree with that. I am absolutely not a fan of Charles at all. I think he's he's like the first King Charles. He's very problematic. Let's just be diplomatic about it. Muslims are arming up. What did happen? Southport, put your weapons. Oh, yes. Remember that video when the police officer told the Muslim guys to go and put the weapons back in the mosque? Yep. Can't bring myself to take my daughter into London on Saturday because the left wing loons. To be honest with you, the left wing loons will be nowhere near us. We've got that totally handled. If I thought it was dangerous for people to bring the families, I'd just do a video on it saying don't bring families, but I don't. I genuinely think it's going to be a really, really good day, and I don't think there's anything to worry about. Best black, not my king. I agree with that as well. There's a lot of people really not liking King Charles here. Paul, what are your thoughts on Charlie boy?
Well, he's let us down, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I said it in a video the other day. I've always been a royalist, but I'm afraid my love affair with this particular royal family is currently on hold.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Exactly. Okay. I was really worried about doing registration. Charles ain't protecting the country.
Nope.
So anyway, I mean, let's talk about Saturday. Everything. We had our last meeting, 2 meetings with the police today. So we've gone through everything with an absolute fine-tooth comb. Everything's ready. Everything's prepared. It's literally just down to you guys now to get on the buses, get on the coaches, get on the trains, get in your cars, get in your motorbikes, get in your push bikes, and get down to London. Because if you're in the UK and you can get there, you should get there and especially if you're vexed about what's happened to Charlie Kirk. If you're upset about what's happened to Charlie Kirk, this is an outlet for that upset. I'm not about an outlet to do anything silly, but it's somewhere where you can come together with like-minded people en masse. And Paul, what's the atmosphere like at these events?
Oh, the camaraderie is just something special. The best way I can describe it is just like you're all supporting the same team, and it's FA Cup final day.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, it would be like England being in the.
Being a Fulham supporter, Richard, it's not. I don't get to experience that feeling very often.
No, well, I used to call myself a Middlesbrough supporter, but to be quite honest with you, it just Gareth Southgate ruined everything for us. You know what I mean?
Richard, before we go, can you just confirm for everyone watching the meeting point times, etc., so they all know?
Yeah, and I'll put a link. What I'll do, I'll grab a link actually. I'll do it now because if I don't do it now, I'll forget. So just bear with me 2 seconds. In fact, I wonder if I just play this video into the channel. In fact, no. Do you know what? I'll do it when we come offline. Yeah. So basically, right. So the meeting point is Stamford Street. Now, this is very important. What we don't want people doing. Stamford Street is on Waterloo Road. If you come to Stamford Street from Waterloo Road, you will be asked to go round the back of the. You have to walk about 20 minutes round the back to get to the event. So what we're encouraging everybody to do is to come from the Blackfriars Road direction, right? So that could mean getting to Blackfriars Station, which is north of the river, coming straight across the bridge. Don't anyone, sort of hanging about outside Blackfriars Station. Come straight across the bridge. And once you get across the bridge, it's about 100 yards on your right. There's a pub called I think it's the Mad Hatter. You turn right there, and that's Stamford Street. It's a very long road. It runs for probably 500-600 meters. So if you get to that part of the road, then you walk up, and that'll bring you into the front of the demonstration, depending obviously on what time you get there, and that'll just fill up. And that's the way we want that to happen. So you can either come from let me just get this right. Okay, Southwark Tube Station. So you can come through Southwark Tube Station, and then if you come out of Southwark Tube Station, you turn left onto Blackfriars Road. You go Blackfriars Road about 200 meters, and again, the Mad Hatter pub is on the left, and you turn left before you get to the bridge, and that's Stamford Street. Okay.
So just to make it really simple, Richard, if anyone hasn't had a chance to write all that down or take it in, what's the nearest underground and the nearest overground? Nearest
overground is Blackfriars.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that Thames Link? Is it?
Yeah. Blackfriars is north of the river. It's you've got the bridge, obviously Blackfriars Bridge.
So Blackfriars Overground.
Blackfriars Overground and Southwark Tube Station is the underground. Now, a lot of people will come into Waterloo, but you're not going to get in the front from Waterloo. This is really important. You're not going to be able to get out of Waterloo Station because it would be really quick. But we're doing this for a very specific reason. It's crowd control. Yeah. If you try and get into the mouth of Stamford Street from Waterloo Road or from the roundabout there, you won't be able to get in because we'll be asking everybody to go back round and down.
That's not the end of the world, though. They can just follow the crowd, right?
Well, no, there'll be people there to guide them. There'll be people outside the station to tell them where.
So if you can only get into Waterloo and you think, I don't know how to get to Blackfriars or I don't know how to get to Southwark, go to Waterloo and follow the crowd. It's a 15-minute walk.
Not necessarily follow the crowd because the crowd could be going in the wrong direction. Listen to what the stewards are telling you.
The stewards are telling you,
If the stewards tell you to go, the stewards should tell you to go to a road called the Cuts, which is where the old Vic is. So you get to the Cuts, you turn left down the Cuts, and that'll bring you in again onto Blackfriars Road. So it is pretty simple. There's maps out there, but obviously not everybody follows instructions, as we know, Paul. But that's going to create a problem if you don't follow instructions. That's when we can get things going wrong. We want everyone in the back end of Stamford Street and coming in that way from Blackfriars Road, because it just stops the problem of masses of people congregating and becoming a blob, because there's going to be that many people there. That will definitely cause a problem, and we want to, because what we don't want to have is the police having to enforce crowd control stuff at the beginning of the event. We want it to be very orderly and very disciplined. So we need people to really pay attention to that, and it is really important. But look, no plan survives contact with the enemy, Paul. Do you know what I mean? That's the bottom line. So we'll see how it all goes on the day. I think the crowd's going to be massive, Paul. I think there'll be 1 million people there.
Yeah.
I think it,
I'd love to think that would be, Richard. Unfortunately, I'd be surprised, but it's going to be a big crowd.
It's going to be massive. It's going to be the biggest one we've ever had without a
Please God, it's a huge one. Yeah.
Oh, it will
I
be.
mean, Richard, it should be 5 million people.
Well,
But
it
it's
should
the
be.
challenge to the British people. Do you love your
Yeah.
country enough?
Well, I mean, I would say the challenge to the British people is: do you love your country enough to join Advance UK? I think. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, don't get me wrong. I love demos, and demos are really important. And this, this is me going to this is a massive sacrifice for me. But the reality is that the demos are not going to win the country back. What's going to win the country back is that X in the box next to an Advance UK candidate in 2029, because we can't trust anybody else to do this. And again, the pledge, Advance UK, Uniting the Kingdom, Christianity, that's the four spokes of the wheel.
And now is time for unity. If ever there was a time in this country for proper unity, it is now.
The issue is, Paul, you can't unify with people that you don't agree with. So you've got to, so you've got to find people who are like-minded, and that's why things like the pledge are so important, because the pledge gives the ideology, and if people read that and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, I believe in that, then when horrendous things happen. So say, for instance, we were all taken out, like all of us, right? And all that was left was the pledge website. The movement would continue on, because that is the ideology of the movement. And that's what's really important. I think we've kind of, we've all got excited about Advance, and I'm very excited about Advance, but I'm also not going to forget about the pledge. And let's get it right. If it wasn't for the pledge, Advance probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
let's just be brutally honest. So yeah, there's a lot there, guys. I mean, that's been quite a sort of heavy session. Not too much joking and laughing, but we were upfront about that at the beginning. Because there's serious stuff going on here. It's what happened yesterday should illustrate the nature of the struggle that we're in, and hasn't happened in the UK, but it has actually happened. David Amos.
I mean, look, Richard, as I said, right at the very top of the show, we mustn't let Charlie's death be in vain. It won't be.
Yeah.
But we must take inspiration from him, particularly our young. There's a big message there for our youngsters. Charlie was great with working with the youngsters in America. And in his death, he can work miracles here with our youngsters as well. Look at what Charlie stood for. Look at what he was saying. Look at what he believed in.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the things he was saying? If so, they killed him for it.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Exactly.
The tolerant liberals killed him because of what he believed in.
Absolutely. Bess, Paul, you're going to be streaming the whole thing, aren't you? You're going to be pulling feet.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to talk to one or two YouTubers that are there, but to be fair to them, it's their channel. They're going to be there on the spot. I've not quite decided which way I'm going to play it yet. I might just step back, Richard, and let all the guys have a free run at it that are actually on the floor, on the ground, and reflecting. I'm not sure yet. That's the answer.
Well, do you know what can work? I mean, if you're pulling in, because what happens with streams, a lot of streams go down, as you know. So if you have a few streams open and you kind of bouncing between the different streams, so that people can get a good overview of what's happening. Because obviously a lot of people on your channel won't necessarily be registered with the other ones and they'll have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you find the ones that are actually, Wendell's and Urban Scoops and
it just depends on getting permission from them to use their live, because if they're live themselves, they'll obviously want the traffic,
Yeah, would they not? I think, they were getting a certain amount of it, wouldn't they, if you were restreaming it?
I honestly don't know.
I'm not sure either. But I mean, I've restreamed stuff before, because to me, it's eyeballs on what's going on. I think I restreamed one of Tommy's court cases, and because again, and what you can do is obviously you're commenting on it. It will cost me nearly £200 to get there and back, but a small price in comparison to what absolutely made in England. 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. People who received alerts are being restricted. What's the alerts? Is that the thing that came out from the government there? Anyway, yeah. So look, I mean, yeah. So everybody needs to be there on Saturday. Probably need to get there between, I would say, 11 to half 12 for form up, and then the march steps off at 1. So there's going to be a lot of people building up there. I would say there's going to be people there from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, but that's probably not the best time to go unless you have to.
Yeah.
So, go and try and find a coffee shop or a pub and, have breakfast and then, make your way to the march from there, because obviously if you get there too early, you're just going to be standing about for a few hours. I wouldn't try and probably get to that street until probably 11, half 11 at the earliest. Do you know what I mean?
Good comment from OAP 66.
Where's that, Paul? What
On the
time
screen right now.
Timestamps on it?
It's on the screen right now.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. This is for little girls and justice. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the little girls, in the dance class. It's the little girls in Ariana Grande, and it's the little girls that's been. I mean, if you think about this, Paul, right?
It's for all the children.
Think about this, right? See the not sure yet, John. That's why I'm saying we've got to wait out on what's happening there. I think there's got to be discussions had there before anything happens on that. But again, I'm not going to say any more than that. See what's happening. Yeah, I mean, the thing about the girls, Paul, if you think about this, right, and you think about what these monsters from this certain demographic have done to our girls, right? Ariana Grande, right? Axel Rudibakana, he is a Muslim, 100%. Tommy told me to my face when he was in prison. Axel is a Muslim, right? The grooming. If you think about what they've done to our daughters, what other society would put up with that and just go, it is what it is, It's absolutely. I'll be honest with you.
Richard. It is more than pathetic. It's criminal. It's criminal. And the time has come. Look, one day there are a lot of people that need to be standing in front of a judge and a jury. A lot of people, probably hundreds.
Yeah.
Many hundreds.
Yeah.
From council officials to serving police officers to retired police officers to council officials. In many positions of power, one day they need to be standing in front of a jury of their peers and receive the sentence that they deserve for betraying our children. And there's no worse crime than the betrayal of children.
No, it's disgusting. And of course, the reality is none of us really, until recently, we didn't really know it was happening. And until we made those ROB films and sat down with those girls and spoke to them and looked into their eyes and saw the hurt and saw the pain that they've been through, I didn't really understand it until I'd actually and then sitting with them and then talking to people from Telford who'd had it happened to family members. I've told the story before about the restaurant owner that spoke to me about his prom date who didn't turn up, and she didn't turn up not for any other reason than when he got there sort of bang on time. She got there 10 minutes early. In that 10 minutes, a car full of Pakistani men pulled up, dragged her into the car, took her off. And again, I'm very aware of your channel, Paul, so I'm not going to use the actual language, but we all know what I'm talking about. And that guy met that girl 10 years later. He was devastated because she didn't turn up for the prom date. Well, she was a lot more devastated than he was, and that's the sort of stuff that's been going on. And, I think we're not even scratching the surface of this, Paul,
Let's try and end on a positive note, Richard, for our viewers. Let's celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk and what his legacy. He leaves an amazing legacy. Not only does he leave two beautiful children, who will no doubt grow up to be fine adults. He leaves a legacy for the youth of America.
Yeah.
he has opened the eyes of the American youngsters, the college kids, the university kids. And he is, in many ways, responsible for saving a generation. Hopefully, his message can filter across the pond and reach our young.
Yeah.
Because the images of our young today ripping down Union flags in Brighton
it's disgusting, isn't it?
It makes me feel sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm out.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't put up with it, Richard. It would just destroy me.
Yeah.
Let's finish with that beautiful song, shall we?
Yeah, let's get this played. Now I've heard a rumor that this might be getting played on the platform on
Can
Saturday.
I just say, everyone, good luck Saturday. Please be careful. Please behave yourself. No face masks. Don't get too drunk. Just have a one or two and meet some new friends. Have a lovely day. Please stay safe. Please stay respectful of the police, and let's show the media that we are the good guys. After 830 arrests in London from the other mob last week, we've had Charlie Kirk assassinated this week. We've had some terrible things going on around the world. Let's show the rotten, stinking, lying, vile mainstream media who the good guys are. Let's show them that it's us.
And what I'll do, I'm taking a camera to film stuff, so I'm not going to be live streaming much, but I might try to do the odd little live stream here and there while I'm there. I'm not a big live streaming guy, so I don't want to do something that's going to be too challenging. But turn
it off when you go in the bathroom. That's the biggest tip I can give you, Richard.
Well, or don't live stream after you've had 10 beers. That's always a school.
We don't want to scare anyone.
No, we do not at all. We do not at all. But I was going to say something about the Loch Ness Monster there, but I stopped myself. But
more like tiddlywinks. Go on. Play the song, Richard. Never mind about demonstrate. You can rap it for England. Come on, let's have it.
Where are the men of England? Those heroes.
Sorry, guys. That was me. Let's just start that again.
Where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all and stood for faith and love. The men who looked to guidance from the Father up above. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold? The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where were the men of England when abusers so depraved took the daughters of our nation, who forever they enslaved? What of the men of England that looked the other way? They took the country shilling, they never made their play. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold? The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. The vile police and vice squad, they all seemed quite amused, as at the hands of groomers our daughters were abused. The politicians blamed the lads who stood up one and all. Most of all, they blamed the one who always took the fall. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold? The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. Where are you, men of England, the heroes brave and bold? The men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. Where are you, men of England? The heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand.
This morning!
So
That is one fabulous song.
I tell you, it's, you know, do you know what, the response we got from that song, it's just incredible. And you know, it's when I get some time, I'll get it properly published so we can actually.
The act's not straight. There we go.
Yeah, it's looking good, Paul. It's looking good. But you know, this is doable. I mean, this is the thing. This is totally doable. We can do this. We can win this. And we're not going to just give up on 1,500 years of Christian history in the United Kingdom, of civilization, of fighting against tyranny and fighting against barbarism. That's what the British have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not going to give up on it. We're not going to. We're not.
Richard, we're still live.
Yeah, we're still live.
I was going to say, I thought you ended it after the song, but
no. It's a good job you didn't say what you normally say, Paul, isn't it?
No, do you know what? I was going to make a joke about my ears. I'm looking a bit Gary Lineker like. Look, if Fulham don't win the FA Cup this year, they could always lift me up instead, couldn't they?
Dead ringer, mate. Dead ringer for Lineker. You know? Thank goodness you don't share his politics, Paul. Do you know what I mean?
Dear.
Right, guys, we are going to go because Paul's when we get off channel, Paul just says some of the most random things that you could ever imagine. Do you know what I mean? He's just he gets off the leash. So we're going to let Paul off the leash when we close this stream down. Okay, guys, listen, lovely seeing you all. Good.
I'm a lot more fun in real life, girls and boys.
He is.
Honestly, yeah.
He's one of the funniest people you meet, and that's what you know. He's like a craggy Norman Wisdom.
Mr. Grimsdale. Oh.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go. See you all Saturday. I'll try and do a bit over the weekend. And like I say, I'm going to be doing a lot of filming. I've bought myself a new camera, so we'll see how that goes. And I'll see you all soon.
Can I just say before we go?
Yeah.
I laughed an awful look of Pratt in this act. Go on. Good night. Love to you all.
See you all soon. Bye.
See you soon, everyone.
Bye.